Well, it won't do what Memphis has done this year, which let's transition to the Memphis Tigers. I promise we're going to get to some positive storylines. We're going to talk about the sleeper teams heading into 2022. But guys, we got to talk about Memphis. The Memphis Tigers came into this season as America's hottest talked about team, the darling of college basketball in terms of they won the offseason with Imani Bates, with Jalen Duren, who were not available last night for the Tigers. But there are no excuses. There are no excuses, Memphis, when you lose to 3-6. Previously, 3-6 Tulane. 85-84. Penny Hardaway stresses defense. There was none of it in this loss. And now the Memphis Tigers are 6-5. They're 0-1 in the American, which is not a good league. The sky looks to be falling. Is the sky falling for the Memphis Tigers?
Yeah, I really, I think it is. And I'm an optimistic person. Like I said it all year, this Memphis team, talent-wise on paper, can't argue it. Imani Bates, he's a 17-year-old right now, should be a senior in high school. But granted, the talent is still there. Jalen Duren, a great player. DeAndre Williams, bringing back a lot of talent from last year's NIT team. And it just seems that they haven't been able to make it work. And this was my fear coming into this year. Like, basically, you have a formula last year that wins you an NIT title, and you kind of shift it a little too much instead of assimilating the guys into what you had, the new guys into the group that you had last year, and things just kind of go off the rails. And, the one great thing about Memphis is when they reach their peak, or if they reach their peak, it's going to be a beautiful thing, because I think they have a lot of talent on this team and they can play extremely well together. But the floor on this team is so scary and so dangerous. I think you got a lot of personalities, a lot of different agendas on this team, unfortunately, and that's not really a recipe for success. So granted, they do have a great ceiling with this team, I think, but the floor is just so scary with this team. And I just think that, their calling card should be defense, and you should win games against Tulane. I'm sorry. Like, that should be something that you should do. Granted, if you have starters out, it doesn't matter. You should not make excuses. You got to find a way to win basketball games.
Yeah, I tweeted it out, and it was half joking, but half serious. After the loss to Tulane, can someone please ask Penny Hardaway, did he play the guys who care tonight? Because I still don't really understand who he was subliminally sending shots at. Obviously, not having Jalen Duren is the story. Like, you can talk about Imani Bates if you want, DeAndre Williams. Sure, yes, they both are very talented basketball players. But, like, Duren makes these guys go. He's the heart of this team at their best, in my opinion. And without him, like, that's an irreplaceable thing to be lacking in a game when you have him more often than not. Now, I would argue that this team has already broken, or they've already hit rock bottom. I don't necessarily think we're going to see Memphis nosedive even worse than the stretch that we saw earlier this season, with a 20-point loss to Iowa State, a 3-point loss to Georgia without their best player, a 4-point loss to Ole Miss, and a 2-point loss to Murray State. I mean, I think they were at rock bottom, and there was infighting from everyone involved. And then they came out and ran Alabama off the floor. So, look, Memphis to me is like the weird addiction that I can't shake. I can't get enough of watching these guys. I will follow the narrative all season long. I will root against them one night and then root for them the next. But at the end of the day, I can't trust this basketball team. I just can't. And I don't think anything they're going to do in conference play is going to change that for me. Now, I have a question for you, Fana. Do you think this team can win the conference? Houston's had all the injury issues. Do you think it's there for the taking?
They're not winning this league. They're not winning this league regular season title. I thought about this question earlier today because I do think that Memphis could pull an American Athletic Conference tournament championship out. Like, could they go to the tournament and win a couple of games over those league opponents? Yes. They could, because it's a conference tournament. Anything can happen over the course of a couple of days. And this league, it's just not good enough. Like, the league is not that strong. So if this Memphis team isn't in the semifinals of that league tournament, that's ridiculous. But you're losing to Tulane. So they're not winning the regular season. Like, I'll still take Houston shorthanded and Kelvin Sampson because there's a proven product there. And you've got a culture and you figure out ways to win games. Like, Houston, before they dealt with what's happening now with the Marcus Sasser injury, among others, they've been a general hospital the last 10 days. They have an established culture, a course of developing players, a leader in Kelvin Sampson. They get it. Memphis is the sexy sign outside of the restaurant that then you walk in and the place should be shut down by Gordon Ramsay. Immediately. It's frozen food. You're not getting what you pay for. You're paying $82 for a steak that's been sitting out for an hour. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Look, you're trying to do things. You're trying to do things in a sport that has totally shifted from the model. Okay? It's not a case in which you can bring in all this young talent and expect that you're just going to win. And Penny Hardaway hadn't proven it before now. We were supposed to think that it was going to be proven this year because you brought in Larry Brown and Rasheed Wallace. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. They've played 11 games. They've used 8 different starting lineups and a different starting lineup in each of the last 4. This is college basketball, baby. This is not AAU, folks.
I said it coming into the year. Like, you look on paper and you look at everything, and everything looks great. You see on social media, they signed Rasheed Wallace. That's awesome. Rasheed's going to be a good assistant coach. It looks great. Like, you're signing these former NBA guys. You got guys like NBA guys like John Morant who are in Memphis coming around the program, surrounding everybody. Everything looks great.
Carter, it's Firefest. Memphis is the Firefest of college basketball.
That's what it is. It's like that picture of that meal. You think it's a great festival, and you open up the styrofoam meal, and it's a piece of wheat bread and a piece of lettuce and a piece of turkey. On a night-to-night basis, I know exactly what I'm getting from Houston. Houston could go on Twitter right now. Kelvin Sampson could go on Twitter and drag 5 guys out of anywhere, but he will pull 5 guys that will play the exact way he wants to. Like, I don't like to do the whole team-to-team comparison, but if you put Houston right now down however many guys they are against that Tulane team, I promise you they're going to play the exact same way that they would play at full strength, and they will win that basketball game. That is what it is. You know what you're getting from that team. Like you said, they have a culture. It's an overblown word, but Houston really has a culture in place and knows, and the players know that, the coaches know that, everybody knows that. Memphis does not have that, and that's why you see the product on the court.
And I love the Firefest comparison. In fact, I would love nothing more than for HBO or somebody, Netflix, Hulu, send some producers to Memphis, Tennessee, and let's get a documentary going on this team, because I would binge watch the hell out of a season behind the scenes, a Hard Knocks style documentary about this Memphis team. At least they should make a buck while doing that. I'll give you my analogy for this team. I already gave you one with Michigan back to my college days. Everybody has that friend in college, right? Girl or boy, doesn't matter. Everybody's got that friend who's dating somebody who there's so many things wrong with this person, right? They're like, everyone can see it from a mile away. Like, what is he or she doing with that person? And the reason is always, like, I can fix them. Deep down, they truly believe that. That's Memphis basketball. Like, how many people need to watch this team for 10 more games before they're just going to get to the point that we just acknowledge and accept this isn't working? Like, it would be healthier for us all to just cut the tie and say, not this year. We'll see again next year. But I can't even do that. I can't shake it. I look forward to watching this team play, whether it's a disaster or a blowout win. It's appointment viewing for me every single week, and it's an addiction at this point.
Yeah, and I think it's a perfect reflection in the fact that the most frustrating part about it is that you could walk onto the floor and beat Alabama. And beat them like a drum. Beat them by 14 points and hang 92 on them. Like, this team does not have a player with over 33 assists on the season. So they don't have a player that's averaging even 3.5 assists per game. The biggest thing with Memphis is they do not have someone who makes plays for all this talent. So you have 1v1. I'm going to break you down. We'll beat you with our speed and athleticism, our explosiveness. But it's just, again, another team offensively that doesn't have a lead guard who can consistently create. And at the basic core of it, in this sport, we talk about the sexy, the storylines. In this case, Memphis doesn't have what it takes to win in this sport at the highest of levels. They've got a lot of great parts and pieces, but you got to have a workhorse and you got to have a leader. When you're starting 8 different lineups in 11 games, how the hell are you expected to have any sort of consistency? No, you don't. You don't. Memphis, when Memphis is good, it's good for everybody in college basketball. College basketball benefits when the Memphis Tigers are a factor. Great brand, great fan base, terrific passion, awesome atmospheres. Guess what? You're trying to do things with a formula that's way too shiny for the pieces that are inside of it. And that's just the fact of the matter. They are not doing it the way that wins in this sport. Sadly enough, sorry, Tiger fans, you don't want to hear this. Change is a-coming. It's going to have to come because the formula that you're trying to go about it right now is so long and far behind Scott Drew, Mark Few, Jay Wright. It just is. Change is a-coming. This has been a mess, and I don't see it getting cleaned up. The only saving grace they have is, unlike the Big Ten for Michigan, the American is more forgiving in that they could find a mojo, and in the conference tournament, they could beat those teams in a conference tournament. They're not winning the regular season. You don't know what you're getting from night to night. You don't even know who's going to start for that basketball team.